Hi, welcome back to week 3 lecture 1, and this is going to be the second part. We're going to go over an example of how to build a truth table. And rather than writing it out here in text, which would take a long time in lessons, I'm just going to use the actual text to do this. But in class, we'll actually write these on the board. And as doing a part of your assignments, we'll also have to write these out as well. Okay, so consider the sentence where we have a conjunction here of A if and only if B. So we have a biconditional here. And on the other side of the conjunction, we have a material conditional and not B, a negation here. So, So how do we go about building a truth table? Well, the first thing we do is we copy under each of these sentence letters the truth values on that given assignment. So remember, a row in a truth table is going to be a particular assignment of truth values to the sentence letters. So in this first case, we're going to think about the scenario where each of the sentences is true. So the first thing we do then is copy under B we'll put true, under C we'll put true, under A we'll put true, and under B we'll put true. And for the second row, we'll do the same thing for A and B, because under the second row both of them are true, but for C we're going to end up having false. So under this, for the second row in this column, we're going to have false for C. And we're going to continue on until we've got all the rows, until we've covered all of the rows. And so we'll see that here. So the first thing we've done now is we've copied this column for B under the sentence letter in the complex sentence. And we've done that for each of them. So you should see that A, for example, it's true, 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 false, 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 and that mimics exactly the column for the sentence letter A. So after we've done that, we look at the closest connective for each of those sentence letters. So negation here is the closest truth functional connective to B. So in other words, the closest truth functional connective within that B is within the scope of is negation here. So the first thing we're going to then do is assign this column the truth values according to the truth table of negation. So when B is true, negation says that we flip the truth value, so we would put false here. Likewise in this scenario. And when B is false, then under this assignment, not B will be true. So we'll flip the truth values for this. And so the result, So this is the result. So here we have B is true, negation ends up flipping the truth value of that. Okay. So the next thing we have to do is we keep working our way out to wider and wider scopes. So the next truth functional connective is going to be the material conditional. And here the truth values we're going to look at. So remember, for the material conditional, we always need to be looking at the two truth values. And then we look at the table for the material conditional to figure out how to assign the truth value under this assignment. Here we have C is true, and for the antecedents, we're not going to be looking at B, but we're going to be looking at not B, because the atomic sentence in this case for the material conditional is going to be not B. So although not B is, strictly speaking, a component sentence, when we look at the material conditional, it's almost blind in a way to whether or not what's inside here is a component. It just says you need to feed me two truth values, and so we're not going to feed it B's truth value. We're going to feed it the negation of B truth value. So in this scenario, the material conditional is going to look at F, right? So after we've negated B, then we pass along the truth value that results of that to the material conditional. And it then says, okay, given that I have false for the antecedent and true for the consequent. If you remember the truth table for material conditional, that ends up having the truth value of true. So remember, whenever the antecedent is false, the truth value of the whole or of the complex sentence will always be true. In fact, hopefully one of the things you will have sort of memorized or remembered by now is that the only time a material conditional is false are the scenarios where the antecedent is true, but the conditional ends up being false, but the consequent ends up being false. So for example, here we have a scenario where the antecedent, not B, is true, but the consequent, namely the sentence letter C, is false. So we know on this row, the truth value of the material conditional is going to be false. So if we look at the resulting column, that's exactly what we get. So in the first two cases, the antecedent was false, so we get the truth value of true. In this scenario, on this truth value assignment, the antecedent is true and the consequent is true, so the resulting truth value of the complex sentence is true. And then the only scenario where we have it that gets the truth value false is when the antecedent is true and the consequent is false. And so now we've filled up this column. Okay. The next step now is to work on this component of our compound sentence. So we've worked our way all the way up so that when we're going to give the truth values for the conjunction, we're going to pass it these values, right? Because this is the outermost connective of this component. So we first have to work on this component before we can actually determine the truth values for the conjunction. So that's what we're going to do in this next step. And you'll notice that this this component sentence is a biconditional. And a biconditional says that you get the truth value, the truth value of the complex sentence is true as long as both of them have the same truth values. So if both A and B are true, then this will get the truth value of true. And if both component sentences are false, then they'll also get the truth value of true. And anytime they differ on the truth values, you'll get false. So the biconditional, remember, always says the two components, they always track each other. So if one is false, the other one better be false as well. So if we look at the resulting column then, the biconditional gets a truth value of true when each of the components is true. And it also gets a truth value of true when both of the components are false. The times when the biconditional assigns a false truth value, or the truth value false to the complex sentence, is when they differ in their truth values. So here A has true, but B is false. So the truth value then would be false. And similarly for these other three scenarios. Okay, so now we have the truth values under the different assignments of this complex sentence, and then we have also all the truth values under all the different assignments of this complex sentence. And so what we finally are left to do is give the truth values for the whole sentence that we're interested in. And so the main connective here is going to be conjunction, and what we're going to look at are the truth values for the material conditional and the truth values from the biconditional here. So this sentence and this sentence. So if you remember, conjunction says that the truth value of the complex sentence is true when both atomic sentences are true, and otherwise it gets the truth value false. So in this first row, the conjunction will get true because the first atomic sentence here on this side is true, and the atomic sentence on this side is true. The scenarios where the conjunction will get the truth value false is all those scenarios where at least one of these sentences is false. So that will be in these rows, and that will be in this last row as well. So if we look, that's exactly what we got. So it's true in these first two assignments, and it's false in the next four because the second component here, this atomic sentence, is false, and it's false in the last row because we have it that this component sentence is false. Okay, so that's how we build our truth tables for complex sentences given the various different connectives. If you have any questions, please make sure to comment, and we'll see you in class.